Hello and welcome to my Healthi app. My name is Roy. I am a home cook and amateur baker, and I am here on this channel typically sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today is obviously not a recipe, but it is the promised tutorial on the recipe builder. So if you've been having questions about the recipe builder, hopefully I will be able to cover them in this tutorial. And if not, you can always leave any questions that you have down in the comment section. So first thing that I wanted to mention is you see down at the very bottom where our plus sign is, we have tracker, we have meal plans, we have recipes and community. If you tap recipes, you are going to get recipes from the Healthi app, from Healthi itself. You are not going to find your recipes listed here. I was very confused when I first started this app because I thought, well, this says recipes, my recipes must be there. But no, you can scan through, it gives you all sorts of options, and up top you can see it gives you options for different filters, like what kind of dietary needs, if you're doing keto, vegetarian, vegan, paleo, pescatarian, Whole30. Allergies are listed if you have anything that you need to be aware of: dairy-free, gluten-free, peanut-free, shellfish-free, and soy-free. And cuisine, you can choose what kind of cuisine you want: American, French, Caribbean, blah, blah, blah. So that's a great resource for finding recipes and being able to filter them. It also goes by what kind of recipe you want. You can see appetizer, sides, desserts, breakfast, beverage, salad, snack. Why dinner is not there, I do not know. But anyway, so this is a great resource for looking for recipes. But as I said, you will not find your recipes here. Now from here, you can go back to tracker if you want. You don't have to, but you can. What we are going to do, and this is going to be some recipe that I am just throwing together with all sorts of bizarre things in it, just to show you different scenarios you may come across while using the recipe builder. This is not going to be an actual recipe, so if the ingredients sound bizarre, that is why. So what we are going to do is hit the plus down at the bottom. Now you see this asks you what do you want to track. Here you can track activities. You can also do checks, which I never use the checks, but those are just if you wanted to check, make sure you had enough water, fruits and veggies, dairy, blah, blah, blah. I never use those, but they are there if you need them. So back to plus. So we are going to hit food. And I showed this in the last tutorial. The first thing that comes up are results, where you can type in a food or scan a food and get just the results that they have in store. Next is 0 bite foods, a whole list of what your plan has for 0 bite foods. Next are favorites. Anything that you've saved with the little heart icon at the top will be listed here. If it's something you use a lot, you may want to use that heart to make it easier to find. This is my food. This is where you have edited food and it's stored under here, my foods. We are going to be using some of these in the recipe that we are going to do today. Next thing is recipes, but then at the end is brands. It shows restaurants, so if you're going out to eat, what you can use, snacks, and then beers. So we want recipes. Now here's a list of all of the recipes that I have in here. I have quite a few listed. But what we want to do is, and this is one place, I believe Android, we have our plus down here at the bottom. You can see it, the big blue circle with the plus. Apple, I believe, has it at the top. I'm not positive, but I think that's what I've heard. So you would have to just hit the plus sign. Now this has opened up a blank recipe. Now the first thing at the very top, you'll see a little background, blue background, and a camera. If you hit the camera, okay, so if you have a picture that you want, tap inside this little circle, and then down in the bottom, you can hit apply. So now you have a picture of whatever the food is that you're going to be making, kind of like what you saw when you looked at the recipes that Healthi has available for you. Now, bites, it shows a little dash because we don't know what the bites are until we've put all of the ingredients in. The next item is name, and that is required. So we're just going to put in random recipe. And then we are going to need to know how many people this will serve. So let's say we're going to do, and I'm going to be using a cake mix in this tutorial, so that's usually about 12 people, so let's go with 12. Now the next item shows meal, and that one you can choose if it's a breakfast item, you hit the first one, the little sun on the horizon. If it's lunch, the next one is just a sun. And if it's dinner, you go to the next one, which is a moon and a couple of stars. Since we're using a cake mix, I'm going to make ours a snack, which is this last one at the end, the apple. This will save it as that meal. That doesn't mean you can't change it once you track it. Say that you made the oatmeal breakfast muffins that I did last week. You could have them listed automatically as breakfast, but say you want to have one later in the day. You can tap the apple to make it into a snack. It doesn't have to go in as what you're choosing right now, but this just makes it a little easier for you to track at the appropriate thing. If this were dinner, I'd hit the moon, but it's going to be a snack, so let's stick with the snack. Now, here we are coming to the most important part, obviously, the ingredients. You want to tap add ingredient, and that will come up with all of the recent things you have had. That's the first thing it'll show up. Typically, that's not what you're putting in here. So what you want to do, I'm going to start with the cake mix, and I'm going to scan it. It comes up with scanning results. Number 1 is cake mix, sugar-free, shows 1 serving, and that's how it comes up, 7 bites. Now, if you scroll down past, now the next thing says recent. For some reason, it's showing you your recent items again. But if you scroll down, the next thing will come up is favorites. It's not in our favorites. I don't know why it's listed there. So then it shows my foods. This is where you have adapted foods to be weighed, or say a calorie count was inaccurate on the app and you had to correct it. That would be saved here under my foods. And last week I did a tutorial all about how to edit foods. So if you haven't seen that, I will include a little card here and a link in the description box below. Now, one of the items that I edited last week was this cake mix. So it will be in here. Say cake mix, sugar-free as packaged. 4 bites for 45 grams. The reason it came up as 7 for a serving is that was using the as prepared nutrition facts. We are not preparing it the way they want us to. So we did it under the as packaged nutrition facts. And I did that in the tutorial last week on editing food. So if you want to see that, go back and check that out. But this was a lot of work of scrolling to get to this. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to search for a food and just put in cake mix. You need to know how you put it in the editor for it to come up. But see, now it comes up. The second item is the My Foods result. That's the one we want. Because as I said, we're doing it as packaged. We are not preparing this the way the box tells us to. So we're going to click cake mix sugar-free as packaged. Now we're going to use the whole box. The whole box is 454 grams. So you're going to tap next to serving size here. It shows the number of grams in one serving. You're going to tap where it says the serving size, and we are going to have to scroll through to get to 454. As I said, there's for some reason no way of inputting numbers, but it scrolls pretty quickly, so it's just a minor annoyance. So 454, that shows us this whole package is 42 bites. If this were a zero bite food, we could tap that, but it is not. Filling food, as I mentioned in the editing, that's, from what I understand, just for people who are trying to duplicate the Simply Filling program. So we are going to add this entire box, hit add down here at the bottom, the giant blue bar. We're going to hit add. And now if we go back, hit this arrow up top, you can see under ingredients, we have our cake mix listed. So we're going to add in another ingredient. And this time I'm going to add in some canned pumpkin. And I am going to scan this because I don't have this listed in my foods. So you see it is coming up as Pure Pumpkin Signature Kitchens. That is correct. But it's coming up as 1/2 cup being 2 bites. That is incorrect. As you know, pumpkin, at least on most of these plans, I'm on the Healthy Better Balance plan, which is equivalent to the old WW Blue plan. So you know canned pumpkin, at least on those plans, was 0. So I'm going to tap this because that is the correct item. I'm going to say add 1 cup to our recipe. It's coming up as 4 bites for that 1 cup. So what I'm going to do is down here next to 0 bite foods, I'm going to tap this little button so it darkens to blue, and that shows us, as you can see at the top, it is now listed as a 0 bite food. Now that I'm satisfied with that, I'm going to hit add. Now if we go back, you can see we now have both of those ingredients. Now I'm going to add in, let's put in an egg. We'll put in 2 large eggs. So I'm going to tap and I'm going to write in egg. Now you'll see the first things that come up are recent items that have egg anywhere in the name. So I got a lot of veggie things in there. I have some egg foo young. I have some eggs. I also have, it'll come up with my foods that have anything to do with eggs in them. So now we get to the results that the Healthi app has. To me, the weird thing is that raw eggs aren't the very first thing. It comes up scrambled eggs first. I don't know why. But we're doing a large egg. So we are going to scroll down until we can find egg, whole, raw, fresh, 1 large. Now we're finding extra large. We're finding a cup of eggs. We're finding jumbo and medium. There it is down towards the bottom. Egg, whole, raw, fresh, 1 large. So I'm going to tap that and we're going to put in 2 eggs. And one thing I do want to tell you, even though this is coming up 0 bites on the top here, you still want to hit 0 bite food, because I have had issues in the past where I've input a recipe, all the 0 bite foods were calculated correctly, but the recipe itself was coming up as different bites than it should have been. So what I did was I then went back in and every 0 bite food, I tapped as 0 bites, saved it and went back, and it was at the correct thing. So for some reason, even though these are 0 bite foods, there seems to be some residual that they will start adding bites, even if it's just 1, maybe 2. I don't want that to affect my tracking. So every time, whether it's marked 0 bites or not, I'll tap 0 bite foods if I know it's 0 bites. So then I'm going to hit add for that. And what we could have done, I'm going to show you another option here, is we could have done egg, raw, large. Now you'll see that is the first thing that pops up. For some reason, you see the next item, egg yolk, raw, fresh, 1 large, is coming up as 2 bites. I don't know why, but of course, if I were to, let's add an egg yolk to our recipe. I am not counting that as bites because it is an egg, even though it's just part of an egg. So I am hitting 0, comes up as 0. I'm going to add that. Okay, so that is done. We do not have to go back to the main screen from here to input another ingredient. What you can do is hit this X up in the search bar and it'll give you back the scanner, or you can type in something. So I'm going to type in, even though this is a bizarre ingredient for what we're doing, I'm going to put in a russet potato. Russet. The reason I'm doing this is because I had shown in the editing video how to change it to weigh out a russet potato. I wanted to show you another item that's listed under my foods, but also one that's listed as a favorite and also one that is going to be measured. So this screen, we don't need the keyboard anymore, so I'm going to tap this down arrow down here at the bottom to get rid of the keyboard. And now you'll see the first thing that comes up are recents. If I've used potatoes at all recently, those will come up here. Favorites will be the next, and I did save russet potatoes as a favorite. It's also listed here under my foods. So it does give you options to find it in your My Foods or favorites. So I'm going to do the one that's under favorites. And you can see up at the top that heart is darkened because it's a favorite. If I tap it, it's going to go blank, and that means it's removed from my favorites. But I'm going to tap it again, get that back into my favorites. And now let's say we're going to put in 100 grams of potato. I don't know why. That's just the random number I'm coming up with. And that's going to add 2 bites to our recipe. I would assume potato is a filling food, but I never use that, as I said, so don't worry about that. Gonna hit add. And let's see, one more thing. Let's add in some vanilla extract. I'm gonna type in vanilla. And you can see the first things come up are recents. And none of them are extracts. And I'm just going to scroll down. Then we come to My Foods, anything that's vanilla. Then we're going to get results. And this is just from the Healthi app. For some reason, vanilla extract is not the first thing that comes up. It's cookies. So you do have to do a little scrolling or go back and get the keyboard and just type in extract. And that way it'll limit it to extracts. Get rid of the keyboard again. And then you can choose whichever one you want. I'm going to do just this vanilla extract. Now, it's coming up as 1 tablespoon being 1 bite. Now, when I create recipes for my blog or for YouTube, I won't alter this because if you want to add everything in as accurately as it's coming up, then that's fine. Personally, I don't believe vanilla extract should have any bites. Granted, this will be spread throughout a whole cake, and it probably wouldn't really put a ding into the bites, but I am not counting extract as bites, so I'm going to do that as 0. Again, I don't do that if it's a recipe I'm sharing with you guys. I will leave it as it comes up, so you have the option of changing that if you want. But I'm going to add that tablespoon. I'm going to go back now because we are done. So you can hit either of the back arrows at the top or the bottom. I'm going to hit the one at the top. And now you can see we have our ingredients in there. And if you scroll up, it's coming up as 4 bites for a serving. Now, if you thought, oh, that's too many bites, what if I make this 16 servings instead? You can just change the number of people, and for some reason when you go to change that, it shifts the whole thing upward. I don't know why. But now we're at 16 people. We're down to 3 bites. So you can manipulate the servings, but underneath ingredients, say all our ingredients are done, I don't bother with any of this. I don't worry about details, prep time, cook time, descriptions, and I definitely don't add in directions. That is way too much work for me just to get it for me to track for myself or to get the calories or macros for you guys. Typically, people who add those in are people who share their recipes in the community. So that way people have all of the information, not just the ingredients. I don't share the recipes that way just because with my neuropathy and myopathy, that much typing to try to get all the directions in is just too much. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. And I list anything on my blog that I'm sharing anyways. So you do not have to do anything under add ingredients unless you want to. You could add it in the steps, even if just for your own reference, just so you don't have to look up the recipe or print out the recipe each time or whatever. So you can do that. There's also a spot here for notes, like where you could type in serving 16 is 3 bites. So that way you know you can change it if you want. You have that note there. And now we've gotten everything in, but I don't think I want the potatoes in there. So what we are going to do, you're going to tap and hold until you see the little green check mark come up in the circle next to russet potatoes. Then you scroll up to the top. You see the little trash can up here hiding amongst our muffins. And those are the oatmeal breakfast muffins that I made last week. I'll share a card here and put the link down in the description box. But we want to get rid of that potato, so we're going to hit the trash can. And are you sure you want to delete this item? We are, so we're going to hit delete. And now if we go down, you see that there is no potato listed. So let's say we are ready with this to be complete. We're going to hit save. And now it shows recipe created. You can share on community or share through social media if you want to. As I said, I don't do either of those things. I'm just going to hit this X up here hiding behind the picture. And now we have our recipe. Now it shows the serving size. So this is now the tracking screen. So let's say we're having 2 servings of this. So we're going to go to 2 and it's at 7 bites. Because you know that weird WW Healthi math is 4 bites for 1, but 7 for 2. And you see that it's today's date, and it automatically is coming up as a dessert or snack, because that is the way that we put it in the recipe builder. It will show us all of the ingredients that are in this. It'll tell us how many people it serves. It'll also show us our little note. You can rate this recipe if it's something you really like. Then it goes into the macros. It'll show you the calories, the percentage of fat, carbs, and protein. And go a little further, it gives you the exact calories to the decimal point, grams of fat, grams of carbs, and grams of protein, as well as it'll show you the fiber, the sugars, cholesterol, sodium, saturated fat, unsaturated fat, so that you have that information if, say, you're trying to do low carb as well. Although they do have carb conscious as an option of plans if you wanted to track carbs and do it that way. But maybe you are already, I don't know. But anyways, that's all the information that you have there. So let's track it. Now it says tracked here, so let us go back to our home page, and you can see listed under snacks, random recipe, 7 bites, 5 ingredients. So let's say I've decided to change up one of the ingredients. We are going to go back in. As I said, you are not going to find it by clicking recipes here. This is just for the healthy ones. We're going to hit the plus, go to food, scroll over to recipes, and we can just type in random. We know the name that we're looking for. And there is our random recipe. So I am going to tap that. Now up at the top here, they have the share button if you wanted to share this with someone. It has the little heart if you want to make it a favorite. And it has these 3 dots. And you want to click that and edit. So let's say I've decided to cut back on the cake mix. I'm going to only use 250 grams. So I'm going to tap the serving size and alter that until I get to 250 grams. And we're going to hit save. Now it shows the serving is 2 bites. Because of that change, do not back out of this without hitting save down here at the bottom. If that's the only change that you're making, hit save. But let's say we've decided this is going to be for 10 people. Still 2 bites. And that's one of the things that I will do to check to see how much I can get for the bites, is say a recipe comes up with 12 servings. I put everything into the recipe builder, and then I'll scroll through and see how many can I get away with before it changes. This would be 9. So I can actually do this as 10 servings and keep it at 2 bites. So that's how I get the generous portions that I do, is I play around with how many people I can serve this to and still keep the bites low. So we're going to save that. Now it is saved as 2 bites. And if we go down here, it now serves 10 people. And now the macros have obviously changed because of that change. Now, we've already tracked this for today, and we tracked it making it the old way. But let's say we pre-tracked it, and then when we made it, we had changed up the recipe. What you would do is go up here to this X and go back to our main screen, go down to tracker, and you see the recipe, random recipe did not change from 7 bytes. And that's because it's going under what we applied it as early on. So if we want to decide to wipe this out because we've changed the recipe, we're going to tap and hold. And now it comes up with a few options. Copy to previous day. So say you ate something today and you're like, oh wait, did I forget to track that yesterday? You can copy this to the previous day and have it go there as well. You can copy to the next day if you know that you're going to be having this again tomorrow. Or what we're going to do, you can delete. Now you see we have nothing listed. So we're going to go back in, go to food, go over to recipes, type in random, and hit that. Now we're going to see, we'll go back to having 2 servings, and it's now 5 bytes. So we just saved ourselves 2 bytes by deleting the old recipe and putting in the new one. So we're going to go back to the main screen, and you can see now it's listed as 5 bytes for those 2 servings. So that about covers everything, I believe. As I said, I could have missed something, and if I did, if you have some other question, please leave it down below in the comments, and I will get that information to you. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was informative and helpful to you. And if it was, I really appreciate if you gave me a thumbs up. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet and you are looking for recipes that can help you on a weight loss journey. And share any of my videos if there's someone out there that you think could use this information, either for Healthi or for any of my recipes. Hit the notification bell for the next time I upload any sort of video, such as this tutorial, which is coming up on a day I don't typically post videos because I didn't want to replace the recipes with this, but I did want to get this out there. So as I said, the previous tutorial, as well as the oatmeal breakfast muffins, will be listed down below. And in the omelet video I did last week, I did attach at the very end a little tutorial on how to do a quick add if you already know the bytes of something, how to add that in without going through the whole rigmarole of scanning and whatnot. Say you didn't have the UPC code anymore and couldn't scan it. I did do that, so I will link that video down below as well in the description box. And again, for those who may not know how to access the description box, underneath the name of my channel, below this video, and then underneath it will say show more. If you tap show more, that opens up the whole description box. So you will get all sorts of information down there. My recipe blog, my Amazon storefront, my Built Bar rewards, my Fetch rewards, and ways to interact with me, among which is my social media. Here is my Instagram handle. And there are 2 Facebook groups that I am part of. One is mine, Recipes with Roy, and the other one is Finding Our Way, WEIGH. And that one I co-admin with Jennifer Lynn from the Jennifer Lynn channel, as well as Bree Coleman from Balancing Life with Bree. So join us over there. There are lots of great tips, tricks, recipes, support, and people. Okay, so that does it for these Healthi tutorials, as far as I know. If there are any questions, leave them down below. And if there's anything that comes up that's new or different, or something that takes longer to explain than just a quick little blurb, I may do another one, but I think just editing foods and doing the recipe builder were the ones people had the most issue with. So this should wrap up my Healthi tutorials. So I really hope that this helped, and I am going to see you on my next video. So until next time, bye.